Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Hugging My Chaos. Today we have my favorite business club president. Well, he's not a president anymore, but he was my president last year. And this guy, he's hella charismatic, such a leader. He likes to put people, he likes to include everyone. And fun fact about him, he had trouble deciding his major before committing to one, which is business admin. So that's why he's the perfect person to bring on this show to talk about how to find your career path. Welcome, Hermana Costa.
¿Cómo andamos?
How
What's
are
up,
you?
everybody? It is a great pleasure to be on this podcast, on this show hosted by Abril. I was very excited when Abril reached out to me, so I'm definitely looking forward to, the
He hella lagged
questions.
on me. It was bad.
Yeah, that was funny too, because I just been busy right now, post grad and all that. But I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be here. So yeah.
Thank you for being here. I'm curious, how many degrees did you pursue before committing to business admin?
So it was actually a funny story because when I first got into community college or straight out of high school, like it was, I honestly wasn't even thinking about school. Like it was more so like, oh, I see my brother and my sister, they're going to community college, like, they're pursuing higher education. All of my friends in high school, they were like, oh, I'm going to Colorado, I'm going to, Clemson, I'm going to USC, UCSD. I'm like, I wasn't even thinking about college. I was just like, I just like to play sports. I was like, I'm just gonna go to community college, and then I'm gonna go play football, and then we'll just see.
Soccer or
So,
just football?
American football.
American.
So yeah, it was like I'm gonna just get involved. There was a program at my community college called Puente. It's basically shout out to Puente. It is a program specifically focused for first gen Hispanic students. Basically, because a lot of first gen students, that's the biggest thing. Just after high school, just navigating college. So, with the help of them, they were able to like basically just open my eyes as to what college really is and like how this is gonna support you in the future. So getting involved with them, like they definitely got me on track and focused on what I wanted to pursue. Even though I didn't really know what I wanted to pursue, I was like, I could see myself being like international business or even like in architecture or no, not math because
No,
I,
no,
I
no.
I was not good at math. But
I like how you thought about it. You were
yeah,
like,
no, I was like,
no,
nope, not
never.
math. But like even finance, because I actually had fun in my classes at community college regarding finance. So I was like, finance would be cool. It's numbers and all that. It's kind of complicating, but like once you get the hang of it, like you get it. It just clicks. Um, but then that's when it was really until I started getting to like have those constant meetings with my counselor, like before transferring as to like, okay, so that's when she told me, she's like, your career should be something that you pursue not only for the money but for your enjoyment. So it's something where like what are your hobbies right now? So that's when I started thinking about my hobbies. She's like, so those hobbies, like find
What
a
were your hobbies?
so at that time, like I said, coming out of high school, I was just like, let me just keep on playing sports. So that's why I kept on playing football. So I was just like, it wasn't until college where I started recognizing the business aspect of sports. Because you start seeing, high school, it's more so like, uh, if you're good, you get the playing time. Um, and also sometimes, we might not have a lot of players, so like you're guaranteed a spot. But when you get to the next level, the coaches have to make business decisions. They're going to be putting the best players on the field. So even though you're committed to the program, you're committed to showing up to every practice, every workout, doing extra work. If you're not the best, the coach is going to make a business decision. So that's where, for me, it was kind of like an eye-opening experience. Although it sucked because it was just like a new kicker just came in, and then just like that, he just got the starting job when I was there for a year. Um, but then that just kind of, like I said, it opened an eye to me as to like, okay, so like I see why people say sports is a business. Like at the end of the day, it's a business. So then that's when I talk to my counselor. I'm like, if anything, like, I definitely do see myself like I'm always around sports. Why wouldn't I want to pursue a career where it's something I fully enjoy? I grew up my whole entire life playing sports. Why wouldn't I want to pursue a career where it involves or revolves around that? So then that's when Maria, my counselor, she was just like, um, if anything, a lot of undergrad sports management programs are like on the East Coast, like down south. So obviously that's something where it's like tuition, out of state tuition. I was
Oh,
like,
because you come from San Francisco, right?
yeah, Bay Area, Bay Area,
Oh, yeah.
San Francisco, kind of inner East Bay. But so yeah, it was just like out of state tuition, no money to pay for that. I was like, how am I gonna pay for that? So she was just like, if anything, look into like top business programs on the West Coast in California that you see yourself, A, enjoying the campus because that's the biggest thing, um, and B, like a good business program where you could use that to leverage what you want to do in your future. So, after kind of taking several classes in community college, that's where, finally transferring, that's where I was just like, okay, I'm fully committing to, doing this business program. First I was general business, but then I changed it to management.
Oh, but it was around business, right?
It was around
Oh,
business.
okay.
It was
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
At the end of it, it was business. Those are the main classes I took. Um, and yeah, basically that's where general business at first, but then I switched emphasis to management, because looking potentially into a master's program in sports management. So yeah, it was a lot of you know kind of finding more about myself, that led me to now I get to say graduating.
When you, first of all, congratulations.
Thank you, thank you.
When you were little, what did you want it to be when you grow up? Or what were your
Oof.
aspirations?
Um,
Because I feel like that also plays a role.
yes, it definitely did play a role. I mean, like I said, I played sports since I was 4 years old. So I was like, I'm gonna be a soccer player. But career wise, what my parents were always telling me, and I actually really appreciate that because now it's something that I fully embrace. It's just like I come from two cultures. I come from the culture here in the US and I come from the culture from Mexico. So they always said, embrace your culture, it's two different cultures, but
Don't be
don't
ashamed
don't
of it.
lose your roots, don't be ashamed of it. So they were just like, oh, like, maybe like down the road you could be an ambassador. Being bilingual, knowing some of Mexico, going to visit family, knowing kind of like, I guess, the situations that's going on here and there. So you could be an ambassador. So I was like, that would be interesting. Um, but so yeah, definitely there was a time where I was saying,
Oh,
I want to be.
that's the image you had growing up to be an
Yeah,
ambassador. Oh,
yeah,
wow, that's
yeah. So
interesting.
like politically,
Oh, wow,
is because
okay.
the also the other context behind me being an ambassador, and my family, they call my dad okay, they call my dad one of my family members. He's one of two that they call el político.
El político,
El
okay.
político. Cause when we're out and about, my dad, he always just finds someone that he knows from work, from just like a trip somewhere. He's like, oh wait, yeah, from that trip that we went to, I know this guy. So, and then even then, if he doesn't know, he just starts talking to people. So, so obviously there was that joke of el político, el político, el político.
Also, that kind
So
of got
that's
into
what
your
exactly,
okay.
exactly. So as a kid, I was just like, oh, I want to be able to talk to whoever, and
Well,
like,
yeah.
just kind of just be that person. So yeah, I mean, my dad and my mom, they're both my role models, so it was, it's definitely hard to like not listen to what, they were telling me as like, oh, you could be this, you could do that and all that. So,
Which
so
I
yeah.
think the politic side, like the influential side, you have it a lot. Like I saw it a lot in HUC. Like you're always like, hey, remember man, like you like people know you, people
Yeah.
appreciate you, like your
Uh-huh.
presence, It's like
Exactly.
it's
I
crazy.
think I think it's really just like for me, how how do I even put this? It's like when I see myself in a position where I could use my voice, I know I have a loud voice. I know I could be an introvert. I know I could be an extrovert. So I know I could relate to both sides, you know, because there's a lot of introverted people, a lot of extroverted people. I know I could relate to both sides. So it's just like when I know when to use those in certain situations, I'm gonna use them. So in HBSA, that's why I think it was very easy for me to kind of connect with basically everybody because there was, you know, the extroverted people like you yourself, which I saw from day one from tabling, you know,
Yeah,
when
because I
you
was
know,
dancing.
yeah, so I saw that, and like easily whenever it's like a switch. When I saw you just energetic dancing, I was like, all right, I'm gonna match her energy. So, but then obviously there's, you know, you've seen in HBSA meetings, there's also the introverted people. So that's where it's like it's another switch where it's like
You don't go all out.
exactly
Like,
because I'm probably gonna scare them.
yeah.
So I'm just like, you know, more mellow, more like more serious, more, you know, just kind of chill. And then I think that's why like the dynamic that Josh and I had, it just worked out. That and yeah, basically that's I think yeah, yeah, basically
Do
that.
you, going back on track, do you think, are you gonna like open a business one day with the knowledge that you have, or do you just wanna like remain an employee?
Probably just an employee. I don't see myself as an entrepreneur. I mean, it's an idea because there's obviously, you know, everybody has ideas as to like what they want to do and like how to monetize it. Um, but for me right now, I don't see myself being an entrepreneur and, you know, making my own business or something. If anything, like my biggest um, what's the word for it? I don't know what the word for it. I'm blanking out is, but like my biggest thing is just like, how do I find ways to give back to community? So whether that be, you know, my job or, you know, just even locally, like it's always a thought where I'm just like, how do I give back to my community? So, you know, doing stuff like this, you know, giving back to my friends, you know, people that I care for. I'm obviously gonna help them out whenever. HBSA, I know that was a big spot for me, you know, for my college years. So obviously it's just something like, okay, how do I give back? You know, I already served, but now how do I give back? How do I support that community? Um, so yeah, I think in the meantime right now, just employee, just working, you know, just building up experience. So and then who knows,
But
maybe
eventually you wanna give back, but you don't know
exactly.
how, right?
Exactly, yeah, no. Not exactly, I don't know how, but I just know right now it's just let me just I'm still young. Like I still have so much to learn. So like let me just get all that knowledge and then who knows, maybe in 10 years I have like a nonprofit organization or you know, I start up my own business of some sort or something like that. So yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah, about that, how do you see yourself now that you're out of college? How do you see yourself in like 10 years?
In 10 years, wow, that is a very long time.
Yeah. You're gonna
I
be
mean,
what?
like the dream path, the dream career. Uh, I honestly see myself within like, you know, a management team of a sports team. So being in the front office, and obviously with my dream team, the San Francisco 49ers. So, you know, it would be basically me going back home, working for the 49ers and like a full-time position, front office, you know, just all of that. Cause I mean, that was my childhood team growing up. So now it's like making my childhood team, you know, into my dream job. Like that's something where like in 10 years, you know, I could definitely see myself doing. But right now just freshly being done with college, like literally like 2 3 weeks ago, 2 3 weeks ago, because I just finished summer classes. Um, it's it was an immediate switch. Cause it's just like, all right, you went from just being available to work on select days to now having your full schedule just open and then now you're just being like consistently like scheduled like whether that be like 8 to 4s, 9 to 5s, 2 to 11, and then sometimes like what I think I worked like just recently after I graduated. It was literally like within 2 days. I think I worked like 8 days straight.
Damn.
So it was just like, all right, this is the real life. This is, you know, this is adulting. Um, and then it's also something where I want to put responsibility on myself, where I, got myself situated here in San Diego for another year at an apartment with my roommate. Um, where it's like I want to take the responsibility of like paying my full rent. I don't want to, put the burden on my parents because, I know sometimes, you know, just they need the money.
Yeah.
So I don't want. I'm graduated, so I need to take that responsibility. Um, so
Yeah, I
that's
feel like sometimes parents get kind of like annoyed. Like
exactly
they just want to be
exactly.
free.
So that's why it's like that's definitely something that it's another thing that I'm like having to think about now. It's like, all right, I need to work because I need to pay rent. Um, and also it's like, okay, I know my loan payments are coming up, so I need to pay for those as well. So it's it was an immediate switch, like basically just all right, you're at school, like you're a student, to now welcome to the real world. This is what your life is gonna consist of.
And do
So
you like that? Do you like the like how your job is going, your lifestyle, your like new
so
world lifestyle?
if anything, like I mean, I like money. So obviously I'm gonna work. I like to have my own freedom and all that. So um it is my current lifestyle right now. I like it. I like it. Although, sometimes whenever I call my mom, she's like, "Oh, te recordaste que tienes mamá." Um, but I always make sure to touch base with my parents and all that. But back up to my lifestyle. I like my lifestyle right now. Living in San Diego, blessed to say that I get to live here for another year. Um, it's where I feel, thanks to San Diego State, these past 2 years, I can confidently say that I have found myself, what my values are, what I stand for. Um, you know, Definitely matured over the 2 years. So it's all of that has shaped me to me in the moment right now. Um, so definitely that has basically formed my lifestyle right now. So definitely I like to have fun, go out, party, and all that. But at the same time, now it's like another responsibility. It's like, all right, you got to take care of business. You got to take care of, like, what are you doing to progress and use your diploma for your future. So yeah, right now, yeah.
I wanted to ask you about that. I know, well, you just graduated, so you don't know like the
Yeah.
benefits, a lot of the benefits of
Uh-huh.
having a degree, but a degree is pretty expensive. You already know that.
Yes, indeed.
But do you think the benefits outweigh the cost? The benefits of having like job opportunities outweigh the cost? Because we've heard stories about like people who don't have a degrees and they just do something completely different,
Yep.
But what are your thoughts about that? How important is a degree in your opinion? And should everyone pursue it?
I will say this: a degree is not for everyone,
Okay.
because there are so many ways now in modern times where you could just monetize like different career paths. So compared to back then, it was just like you need that degree in order to make money. But now there's just so many people are just more innovative as to how they could, build companies without, and these are people that, just went to high school or like maybe are like college dropouts that build successful companies. Um, they're just able, they themselves are entrepreneurs without them knowing. Um, so it's, but for me personally, how I see it is that the career path that I'm looking to go down, I need that college degree. Because whether that be in, if I'm going to be coaching a soccer team, or if I'm going to be working in the front office as, you know, uh, whether that be on the financing side, business side, making, business decisions, all of those people, they have degrees, whether that be BAs, MAs, just anything of that. Um, So I think now it just kind of like, what do you want to do in the future, and does that route take you to where a bachelor's degree is your start? Do you need to do a master's? Like, I think in the long run, it will definitely help you out.
Mm-hmm.
My mom always has, the saying. She's just like, cuando me traen ese pedazo de papelito es cuando ustedes pueden hacer lo que quieren hacer.
Which means
Um,
that whenever you bring me the degree, like the
yeah,
paper,
the degree.
you can do whatever you want.
Yeah. Um, so, yeah, my parents, them, immigrating from Mexico to over here, just starting from nothing. Um, they obviously they have that different perspective where it's just like that degree is gonna propel you to, get paid more. Like that's what we want for you guys. We want you guys to get paid more than we ever had. Because they're just like, so you guys can support us later on. So,
And I feel like a lot of Hispanic parents or like yeah, like Latino parents, like they put a lot of pressure in like getting a degree. You know, in a
yeah,
way, like
uh
that's the
huh,
path. Like
uh
that's the
huh.
path you have to go down to.
And yeah, it's I don't want to, is blame the right word, but I don't want to blame them for it, because I mean it's just like, I know my dad and my mom say it like all the time. It's just like they wanted to continue in school. Not my dad actually, but my mom. She, even to this day, she's just like, oh, like, I always think about like, what if I go back to school? Um, and yeah, so it's like, it's not like they're living vicariously through us, but I know that for them, like, a degree, it matters, because I know for me, my degree, what it means to me is obviously, yes, it's a step towards my career, but I know, like, excuse me, I know that's like representing my family. Like, like, this is my family on like paper. Like, don't like, don't disrespect my family. Like, I did this. I'm putting my family on, because, si se puede, you could do it. Um, that's what it means to me. So it's like,
That sense of accomplishment.
exactly. So it's just like, um, something that my parents, like, wish that they could have had, their name on like a bachelor's or something. So like, it's something where for me, it's like, yes, obviously I did it for myself, but at the same time, like, this is for my
It's
family.
symbolic.
It's exactly, it's symbolic. Like, this is like all the hard work, all throughout the, all the ups to the highs throughout all the school years. Like, it all led to this, basically, my name and our last name being on a bachelor's degree. So yeah.
I feel that. And I feel like also school teaches you a lot about like how to be self-disciplined, responsible while managing other things. Because a lot of people have like jobs, whatever.
Yep.
You have to be able to be focused, disciplined, and like you said, have a vision. You
Yep.
know, like hey, maybe I'm doing it for my family, but I'm also doing it because it matches my career path.
Exactly.
That's crazy. What advice would you give people if they are struggling, trying to find a career path or like a path?
I'm gonna speak to the camera, because I know when I first started community college, I was just like, okay, let me just get this over with. And like, like, God, like, I see my friends are already like at a 4-year university. Like, why couldn't I do that, just so I could be done with school? But then, shout out to my boys, Bruno, Arturo. Uh, Bruno, he was at that time 22, 23. And I was straight out of high school. And basically, that's where he heard me. He's like, bro, like, what are you trying to say? Like, I'm 22, I'm 23, and I'm in community college. So it's like, everybody has their own timeline. You might not know what you want to do right now, but don't shoot yourself over it. This is your own path. It's not in high school where it's like, oh, like, I'm taking that class with you or anything. Like, this is your life. So, you're probably like, wow, like, all my friends or people around me, like, they know what they're doing. And good for them, like, be happy for them. But this is your path. This is your life. This is what you're making of it. So that would definitely be my advice, because thanks to Bruno, he definitely like that was once I heard that, it just stuck with me forever. Cause I was like, damn, like that's really what life is now. At this point in time, it's what you want.
At this moment,
At
right?
this moment, it's just like, yeah, so basically just don't shoot yourself. Be patient. I know I was very impatient, but patience was something I definitely learned a lot of like how to manage. Um and yeah, just just go with the flow. I think that would be my advice. So
Should, like, let's say people are paying tuition and they don't know their path, should they like just go to college, drop out? Like, if you had to give an advice to yourself, what would you do? Because a lot of
um
people, like, they want to make a right decision because they're already paying for it, they already have the
yeah.
pressure. Parents also play a big role, like
Most definitely.
they tell you, hey, like, come on, figure something out, you
Yeah.
know. So
That was a tricky question. But I guess my response to that would be, um, yeah, something what I mentioned earlier. Find your hobbies. Like, what is it that you like to do on your own free time? A college is most definitely gonna have that. Like, whatever you like to do, they're gonna be having some sort of a class or a discipline for it. Um, and yeah, just pursue that. Because I mean, for me, how I told myself, I was like, okay, I already did community college 3 years. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna put my timetable at 2 years. And obviously, yes, I had to take summer classes, which it was definitely a pain in the butt. But I was just like, I'm gonna give myself 2 years, because then I feel like if I go past that 2 year mark, that's where uncertainty is gonna start hitting, and that's when I'm like, oh my god, am I doing the right major? Um, and that also gave me like a good time to like really like focus in on like, okay, this is my emphasis, this is what I'm doing. Um, and yeah, so that would probably be my best piece of advice is just, yeah, you say like, oh, I have 4 years of college, or I have like 2 years of college, like I'll figure it out. Like once you get to that point, it's like create that timetable. It's just like, okay. And like even then, yesterday, we had a social at the bonfire. Um, I was talking to a few undergrads, sophomores, juniors, and then they were like, "Oh my god, like I'm just scared to grad," or like they were saying like, "Oh no, I can't wait to graduate and all that." But I'm like, "Hey, take it from me, enjoy your time, like truly just do everything you want to do here." Cause and yeah, that even though a lot of people say I'm not the only one saying it, it's just like once you graduate, it's the real life. Like you got adult, so it's that instant switch. So definitely, it's like build a timetable. It's like, okay, build a timetable, explore your classes. Like, not only just look at what the counselor tells you to do, but look at what the school has to offer. Um,
you
and
also
yeah,
talk to your counselors, right? You mentioned that.
it was
There's a
definitely
point,
like
right?
towards the end of junior year and then beginning of senior year. So that's when I heavily used my counselors. But community college, oh yeah, I was there like probably like every week, every two, like no, I was probably there like sometimes 2 days, 2 to 3 days every week, or
Damn.
like on like other day, like I was at least there one
But
day
you
every
also
week.
did your research, right? Like, because I feel like you also, like, you explore different areas. You're like,
Hmm.
okay, I like try different things. You didn't just wait for the answer to come by. Like,
Exactly.
you just didn't.
I mean, I'm a big advocate in community college
Uh-huh.
because A, it's cheap, and B, also it's the same thing. Like it gives you so much freedom as to what classes you can take before transferring. So yeah, that's my takeaway. Is just community college. It's not bad because at the end of the day, some of the professors that are at the community colleges are the ones teaching at 4 years. So like I know what some of my professors that I had at community college, they were teaching at Berkeley, or they were teaching at Stanford. So it's like, why are you going to downplay a community college? It's saving you a bunch of money. So, and that's why I was able to, kind of navigate as to like what I did like, what I didn't like. And yeah,
But like you said before, it's important to have like a timetable because I've seen a lot
yes.
of friends from community like who are older than me who are like still like trying to figure it out and they're supposed to be seniors already, you know, and they
Yep.
haven't transferred. So I also think that it's important that you put yourself pressure, right? Like you give
Yeah.
no way a little bit of pressure, but not too much.
Yeah, it's pressure is good. I like pressure. I mean, coming from an athletic background, it's like
Yeah.
you always want to live up to the pressure.
Yeah.
So what helped me was to put it in like a sport point of view, sport perspective, where it's like, okay, in a game, in a soccer game, there's
Mm-hmm.
45-minute halves, 90
Mm-hmm.
minutes. So you have 90 minutes in order to beat the other team.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you need to do? You know, how was their play style? You know, yada yada, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I use that mindset for my school. So it's like, okay, I have 2 years. What can I complete in 2 years? What might be a stretch that I might want to explore?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and what what classes will benefit me? Because there's, within every major, there's always like a bunch of electives, and there's also, well, there's the major classes that you have to take, but there's the major elective classes where you get to choose which ones you want to take,
Mm-hmm.
um, which just kind of help you learn more about your major. So I was just like, okay, if I already know kind of what my career path is, I'm gonna focus on these classes,
Mm-hmm.
and I have to finish these within the 2 years. Um, and then obviously you could always tweak, kind of like in game,
Mm-hmm.
halftime. You have like your adjustments that you do that you see like, oh, the other team's doing this,
Mm-hmm.
so you can see like, okay, this class isn't really for me. Like now that I've done like a year of school, do I need to change what classes I'm taking, or like all of that. So it's at the end of the day, it was just the 2 years. I was like, all right, what can I fit? What can I not fit? Um,
Oh, I
and
like how you put in the like sports analogy. Like
yeah,
that makes
that's
so much
exactly.
sense. Yeah.
So that, like I said, I grew up sports my whole entire
Oh,
life,
yeah,
so
yeah.
that's why for me it's easier to put it in a
Mm-hmm. Sports.
sports perspective. So, I mean, yeah, I grew up playing soccer. I mean, I could have also put it in a
And like the
football.
coach, you can be like the mentor, right?
Exactly, exactly. So yeah, that's kind of like the approach that I took. So when I was
Mm.
here in college. So
The
yeah.
soccer perspective,
Yep,
like you
soccer
have the
perspective,
time.
yeah, or even football, because I mean, just the pressure for. I was a kicker, so it's like your job is literally just to make the field goals, make the extra points.
Mm.
So it's like you only have one shot. You don't have like multiple downs. So I could go on and on about the different sport analogies and all that, but yeah, that's
We
really the
should have
thing that
started
took.
with that one. Like
Yeah.
the whole thing could have been a sports
So
analogy.
yeah, but yeah, that's kind of like my advice for students that are in the college system and they're kind of just like, oh, I don't know what to do. Like, build yourself a timetable.
Oh,
So
timetable.
yeah,
Oh, shit. Yeah.
yeah,
Play a mental sport in your mind.
yes, play a mental sport
That's
in your
nice. I've
mind.
never heard of that. That's so freaking nice. That's
Yeah.
genius. What if someone, let's say that in their time frame, like already 2 years have gone by and they don't learn anything, they just nothing goes with
Nothing
their nothing
sticks.
sticks. What skills at least should everyone gain in their 4 years or their 6 years or their time during education learning, I guess?
Communication.
Communication. Okay.
Communication. I know for me that has helped me out so much. Um, it has been something where what beginning of community college, that's where I found myself. I was in a completely different environment, and I know me myself in different environments. I tend to be a lot more reserved. I tend to be a lot more introverted. It wasn't until my first ever communications class, where it was basically public speaking. Um, and I love that. What was the name of that professor? No, Professor Hawkins. I think that was his name, if I remember. I loved his energy. I loved how he presented himself. So I'm like, yo, wait, like I'm trying to be like him. Like how he does everything. Like it just seems so easy. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna work at this. So during that class, that is definitely one of the classes that I had a lot of fun with because A, it wasn't comfortable, but B, I did learn a lot about communication. So that is definitely one life skill I think that it's always going to help you in the long run. Everything's going to be like, there's never going to be a situation where you just won't know how to respond or how to conversate, how to talk, anything like that. So
I feel like it's important in different areas, right? Like selling a product, job interviews. Like,
yes, like I'm blessed to say, fortunate enough to say that every single job interview I've had, I've gotten hired, except for one. Except for one. That's where I was just like, dang it. Like,
and you
broke
want
my
that one more.
streak. Exactly. So, but yeah, fortunate enough to say that every single job interview I've had, I've gotten the job. And why? I truly believe that it's just because how I presented myself, the way I communicated with the interviewing managers or whoever I was talking to, whichever employee. I truly believe that it's just how effective I was with my communication. So that is definitely one thing I highly encourage anybody and everybody to like take with them. Another thing is just being open-minded. It's just, say, because the question was like 2 years and you just don't know. So yeah, 2 years, you still
Or
took
like
classes.
2 years, 4 years, like
2 years, 4 years, regarding the timeline.
Regarding the timeline.
Everything those classes have taught you, you might have not retained it, but it has influenced you one way or another. So for me, when it comes to the classes, just like, oh, this is actually an interesting perspective. Like, I never thought about that perspective from that point of view. So that has definitely allowed me to be a lot more open-minded, where it's like, even if it's like something that I don't like to listen to or I think is completely false, I'm gonna still hear you out, because I'm like, there's a reason why you're coming from what you're saying, whether that be politics, whether that be any current situations that are going on. I find that interesting, because I'm like, okay, like, let me find out more about like why you think like that, rather than just like, oh, my beliefs, like,
Are superior.
exactly. So
And I feel like that's really important for like everything. That's why I'm doing like these interviews, because I'm listening to everyone's different perspective.
Yep.
Like,
and I love
everyone
that. I
has a
love
different
that.
perspective.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. Sometimes like it breaks my pattern. I'm like, oh sure, like I don't agree with this, but then I go back and I'm like, why? Like, understand their point of view.
Yep.
And maybe they're right, maybe they're wrong, but at least I know something more than I did
Exactly.
yesterday.
It's just that curiosity. I know me myself, I'm always curious. I'm always curious about so many things. So that's why it's like let me find out more. Like, like if it's something that I like, but then I'm just still not fully like I guess invested or sure of that. I'm like, let me find out more. Like, why might I like it? So
I think that's good, especially as we're starting like to build our own path, our own visions, like get different inputs and before deciding.
Yep. So I know I heavily take pride on that, where it's just like, regardless of what anybody says, I'm still gonna hear you out. Like, I know what my beliefs are, I know what I stand for, but whether you disrespect me with your beliefs and all that, it's good. Like, I want to hear you out. Like, there's a reason why you're saying that.
Your truth, right? Like,
exactly.
Your truth,
yeah, your truth. But yeah, it's like, for me, I find it hard to get like riled up, or just, it takes a lot.
Except when he loses soccer.
Yes.
He
Okay,
gets so
okay. When it
tense.
comes to sports, that's a whole different playing field. I am
If you
very competitive.
if you've ever played with him, this guy just doesn't know how to lose. He just gets.
Yes, I'm very competitive when it comes to that. So yeah.
That's funny, yeah. But other than that, you feel like open-minded, like
Yeah,
you're able to see
open-minded.
different
Yeah.
perspectives and all of
Yes,
that. That's good.
open-minded, communication,
And
then
just discover curiosity.
yeah, curiosity. Yep.
Within
Those are,
yourself, like defining, like
Yep.
understanding what's going on within you. That's
yeah,
crazy.
those are like I want to say like the biggest, whether you find your path 2 years, 4 years, like, or you're still trying to figure it out. I think those are like the biggest like focuses that you could look into and like see what you can do with that. Because I know that's gonna, regardless, education or not, that's gonna take you in the long run. So yeah.
I like that. Okay, you have to end the podcast. You have to choose between one and two. It's like a mystery question.
Okay.
Or a mystery event.
Which one's one? Which one's two?
I won't tell you. It's like
Okay.
okay, hold on, let me think which one's one, which one's.
I'll just choose one or the other. I'll choose either that one or that one.
Okay,
No?
hold on. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, there.
Okay. I'm a lefty, left-footed, but I'm right-handed, so I'm gonna go left.
Okay, so this one is what advice? It doesn't have to be with college. Just
Uh-huh.
what advice would you give your younger self?
Ooh. My first thought right away is explicit, but basically I'm gonna rephrase it and be like, don't be afraid of taking leaps of uncertainty. I was always like so stuck on the fact is like, oh my God, like what if I mess up? Or like what if I'm like if I do this, what if it's not the right way? Or like, what if this decision doesn't pan out and it's not good at all? That's life. You're supposed to be taking risks that I mean just growing up. You don't know where you're going. So like I would definitely be like my piece of advice to my younger self is just like don't be afraid of taking that leap, whether you're uncertain or not. You're gonna live and you're gonna learn. You're gonna learn from your mistakes, and you're gonna keep on. You're gonna take those mistakes. You're gonna learn from it so that later down the road, you're gonna be able to like, oh, like I remember I did this. Like I know what I'm doing now. You're gonna bring that along with you. So yeah, definitely, yeah, just that's one piece of advice that I tell myself. Just don't be afraid to take that leap.
Don't be
So, yeah.
afraid. And I feel like I relate to that. I feel like sometimes I spend so much time planning than executing. I'm always like, oh no, I want it to be perfect, but I
Yep.
stayed there in the planning station for like
Yep.
a long time before executing.
It's just yeah, for me it's definitely more I've turned more into like a take action.
Take
Like,
action
like we could
and learn from
do
your mistakes. Yeah.
exactly like we could, do a lot of talking, like you said, do a lot of planning, trying to make everything perfect, but then at the end of the day it's just the execution.
Taking action. Yeah.
So taking action, the execution, that's where you're even then, you have everything organized and planned out, but then it's gonna be like after say it's an event, you plan it, you do everything, and then after the event, there's gonna be like, oh, but like this didn't happen according to the plan.
Like there's always something to improve on.
Exactly.
So that's
Exactly.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just like for me,
Nothing's
that's
gonna be
why
perfect.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's just like I need to see like it happen, and then I'm like after do like a debriefing. It's like okay, this happened, and then like oh this could have been done better. We'll work on this, for the future one. Just keep on building off of it. So yeah.
I like that. I like that advice a lot.
Yep.
Well, thank you, everyone. That was the whole interview. You do talk a lot. I like that.
Bro,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. I could keep on going. Like I realized I was going off tangent, like on some of the questions. I'm like, wait, I gotta go back to the question.
He's talking about his mom, like over here.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Acosta family.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But with that being said, thank you everyone for being here. Hope you learn a lot from his perspective. And remember to hug yourself and hug that crazy chaos of yours. See you. Bye.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Abril. Thank you. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the podcast. Yeah.